Good morning to all those folks who are east of the Atlantic Ocean and to all our friends west of the Atlantic Ocean. Good afternoon. I guess, yes, it is good afternoon. Today we have somewhat of a special, well, it's SmallBizDavid and welcome. We have somewhat of a little different program today. I have some things going on in my personal life right now, and I will not be doing an HOA tomorrow, Wednesday, and probably not Thursday. You know, we have our community meetings. We will have a community meeting on Friday at 10:30. I changed the time to Friday, the date of Friday last week, and I got some good feedback from folks. I don't know. What do you think I should do, Mark? Friday or Saturday? You like Saturday.
Well, Saturday and Friday, both mornings, I'm working at this point in time, so it doesn't matter to me. I tune in every now and then.
Stay tuned. I will post it later on in the week. Friday or Saturday, depending upon how things go with me for the next couple of days. I have in our panel today probably the most active community member that we have, my good friend Mark Farashi. Am I saying Farashi is the correct way?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Good. I've only pronounced your name one time, your last name one time. But Mark and I, we have a nice relationship going that was built on Google Plus. Actually, he reminded me something today, and we've actually started kind of watching each other. It's been over a year now. Mark has it. It's got to be over a year now.
Yeah, a little over a year.
And Mark is doing some really exciting things in his life right now, which have caught my interest. I don't know if he wants to talk about any of them. Do you, Mark?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to dig out the forward projected type things, but I think most people know that I've covered music in the music industry, and I've done a lot on the platform up to this point. There's a lot of growth. What's going on on Hangouts on Air, and everybody's doing a great job with their productions of Hangouts on Air. So to me, that's is a neat thing to follow and to watch, and I kind of look at it as the bar being raised, because there's other folks out there that are raising that bar, and it's something in my nature that makes me want to go after that bar. I want to be better than they are. I don't know what it is. It's something I enjoy competition. If I'm into something and I have passions for something, it's just something I'm into. And you'll have to excuse me, David. I don't know if you've got me up on the screen right now, but you'll have to excuse me that I've got these sunglasses on. I wore these.
You're in California, man. All you folks wear sunglasses, don't you?
I actually wore these in the occasion of the conversation that we were going to have this morning for David Amerland's book. You were mentioning Chapter 7, and as I got into Chapter 7, he mentioned something about a pair of shades and communication that happens in real life, and that when you have shades on, and what's neat about David is he's hit so many points that I understand and relate to, is that if you can't see my eyes, it's kind of hard to communicate and understand.
I was hoping you were going to go with the eyes, because he is very, very clear in that chapter that one of the beauties of HOAs is that it's live, it's real time. You can look at my eyes.
Well, it's an interesting point, and I'll go ahead and go over this a little bit, is that in the last few weeks to several months, the last 6 months or so, I've gotten a lot of things, a lot of growth towards my connections in the industry, and one of those was a good friend of mine in New York that ended up giving me a bunch of PR companies. And as I started to approach these PR companies to try to build relationships with them, my psyche, because of me living on Google Plus and dealing and being very comfortable with the Hangouts on Air, was to try to make sure that I got them in a Hangout on Air and I could talk to them and communicate in person, so that I could be there, and I call it looking at you and being able to see the whites of your eyes. And that's something that I have instinctively, and like David mentioned it in his book, it's an instinctive, innate communication that we as human beings do. We read body language, we read eye contact, everything we do is with dogs, they don't have communication. So this is another thing in my background, so I understand this. So they read and can pick up on every little nuance of your voice tone and your body language. They do it a lot better than us, and we don't have that ability, most of us, I have it with my training, to be able to see it and be able to communicate with the animals. I can do that because I've been doing it since I've been a young man. I started training dogs when I was 12. 8 years old, I was playing with dogs. So I have picked up, and it's been stamped in me, to communicate in that way. So when I communicate and reach out to people, I want to be able to read your body language. I want to be able to see you, and it's something instinctively that I want. So I wanted to do these with this phone. They were busy in New York. Oh, we can talk on the phone. We can, and I keep trying to push them, and it's real hard for me to get them into this market, our niche over here, to learn to communicate and learn the value of what these Hangouts are all about. It's an amazing thing. And they'll show up. They'll start to show up. So
I want to say good morning, good day to my friend Vivek in the UK. Good morning to Vivek. Good day to Vivek. It's afternoon there. And to Farina's Parse. Farina's is a new member of the community. Mark, we actually this morning went over 250 members in the community.
Very cool.
And it's not about numbers. With me, it's never been about numbers. It's more importantly, obviously, the engagements. And David is very clear in that discussion in his book. But before we actually start talking about the book, I wanted to share a little, real quickly, a little email that I got this morning. And it came to me from the Small Business Administration. And the title of the email, the subject line was, "What are the major reasons for small business failure?" And if you follow me, you know that I hate the word failure because, or use of the word failure. When in small business, when you try something, when you think something is going to work and you try it and you give it your heart and your soul to do it, we're not always successful. And that's the way of life. That's how life goes. That does not mean that you failed. It just means that you were not as successful as you wanted to be. So the reason I'm going to read these bullet points to you real quickly, I'll sum it up at the end here. The reasons that small businesses are not successful: lack of experience, insufficient capital, money, poor location. They're talking about a bricks and mortar type business as opposed to being online. I guess, Mark, if you took that poor location and you applied it to the online world, you'd say, well, where's there a better place to be? Google Plus, FB, LinkedIn, Twitter. I guess that's the parallel.
There's definite niches that you have in every market, but that's a famous adage: is location, location, location. You always hear that in business.
Okay, poor inventory management, and when you're in the online world, quite often we don't necessarily have to worry about poor inventory. Overinvestment in fixed assets. We all have to be concerned with that one. Poor credit arrangement management. Yes. Well, if you borrow money to do your business, I've only borrowed money once in 40 years to do anything in my business. It was from a bank in 1978. In those days, it was very, very easy to get money. I literally walked into a bank. I never had done one. They didn't know me. My family had never done any business with a bank. I wanted to publish a magazine. I wanted to start a magazine from scratch. I had a plan. It wasn't a big, detailed business plan. It was only about 5 or 6 pages. And I took it in, and 24 hours after I met the banker, he gave me a check for $10,000. Nice. 11 months from that time, I gave him his $10,000 back plus whatever I don't even remember what the premium was, his interest rate in those days. So if you're going to go to a bank, it's really, really important. If you're going to go to a bank, I highly recommend you to go to the SBA and get information from them on what's the best way to talk to your bank. Poor use of business funds. Oh, I'm sorry, personal use of business funds. You know what? I'll bet there aren't too many small business owners who do not make personal use of business funds. That's just the way we operate. That's not that we're doing something bad. It's that you have to account for it and just make sure you're doing the proper accounting. But you also have to make sure that you're not overextending your personal need for money and taking away from something that the business needs. And I think that's what they're saying there. Unexpected growth, what a pleasant problem that potentially is. Competition, you know my position on competition. The only competition you really have is yourself. Forget about what the other person is doing. Do what you do best. Do it the best way you can do it. You have no control over the other individual, so don't worry about it. And low sales. Low sales is a problem that we all are challenged with at some point in time. Now, Mark, I've got a test for you.
What's that?
What bullet point was left off that list?
What list was off that list? I can't tell you, sir. I can't
I'll
tell
give you a hint.
I bet you know it when you say it.
It has something to do with what we're going to be talking about today. There's not one mention of marketing on that list.
Mm-hmm.
How interesting is that? Not one mention of marketing, yet marketing is something that every business, online, offline, whatever line, we have to be able to communicate that message, the message of our company, what it is that we do, why we do it, how we do it, and why we believe that we have something of value to offer the marketplace if they do business with us. That's what marketing is all about, pure and simple. A great segue into today's discussion on Chapter 7. And you want to pull up Chapter 7 now?
Yeah, hopefully we can get this thing to work and real enough that we can not have it hang on.
In April of this year, David Amerland, on an HOA that he did with me, Mark, was the very first public mention that he made of his book, Google Plus Hangouts for Business. And
all right, let's see if we can do this. Chapter 7, the title is, go ahead and give the title there and lead me into this.
The title is The Empathy Curve and Your Online Entity. Correct?
All right. Correct. The Empathy Curve and Your Online Identity.
And here's how I'd like to handle the discussion today. Obviously, David is not here right now, and that's okay. And he and I have been in communication about this. I wanted to tell him I was doing it. This is one of the most impactful books that I have ever read about small business and small business marketing. And David is one of the absolute industry leaders, if not the industry leader, on the importance of Hangouts. Yesterday I was watching a Hangout. Actually, Mark and I together, not even knowing each other, we're going to show up at the same Hangout. We watched a Hangout, a wonderful session that my friend Chef Dennis Litley did on virtual blogging for virtual bloggers. This was Chef Dennis's second annual gathering. He put together an unbelievable cast of characters. So if you missed it over the weekend, he actually started with a cocktail party, a virtual cocktail party Friday night. If you missed it, go back and go to Chef Dennis's community, and I'm sure you'll be able to see all of the HOAs. But yesterday, Mark and I were watching an HOA that was with David Amerland and with our friend Ronnie Bincer, two of the most important powerhouses in all this stuff about Hangouts. David is the conceptual, Demisian of the concept of Hangouts and why we should do them, the importance of doing them. Ronnie, of course, is the #1 individual in paying attention to the technology of the Hangout and those constant changes. And Ronnie has a mastery group that I belong to. Mark, you were a member of the group at one time yourself.
Yes, I was. I'll be back. He's got a great group.
It's a wonderful place because Ronnie stays ahead of the curve of what's happening. So folks in his mastery community learn about all the changes, learn how to do the technology. And Ronnie was actually David's technology expert in putting his book together. So they were together and they talked about the book yesterday.
Yeah, so did a great job. I enjoyed it. Go ahead.
The way I want to really deal with it, rather than me to sit here and share with you some ideas about the book, about Chapter 7, what I'd like to do is actually read out loud certain about 3 or 4 places in the chapter, tell you what I think about them, what my thoughts are, and then if you have any questions, I'm not going to speak for David. If you ask a question, I will give my best answer based upon my 40 years of marketing and sales experiences. And if I feel that we need a better answer, I am absolutely sure I can get David to answer that question. And so you'll come back to the event stream. But
let's go ahead and pull it up on screen when you're going to hit that.
Well, one last thing I wanted to say, and because it plays into the situation very well. One of my favorite other small business authors is a man by the name of Michael Gerber. He's the author of the original E-Myth, and I actually have 3 E-Myth recordings here. What Michael has done, and not too many other authors have really done this, and it's very appropriate to what we're going to say about David's book. Michael reads his books as opposed to me necessarily reading his book and saying, well, what does he really mean there? When Michael reads the book, I can tell by his tone inflections what he means by what he is saying. Now, let's fast forward that to the world of HOAs. Now, when we talk about an HOA, and this theme is throughout Chapter 7, we are real people presenting real situations. David talks about eye contact, how important it is to have the eye contact with the individual who you are trying to reach, because that eye contact builds trust. That eye contact builds confidence. That's how people decide that they want to do business with you, because of that trust factor. They have to like you. No better way to have somebody begin to like you than to share your personality as presented in a Hangout. Here we are. We're in my home, and I do Hangouts. I've done about 200 Hangouts. You learn a lot about me because I'm delivering right from my home, and we can interact with one another. You can ask a question in the event stream. I can invite you into the HOA. You might be watching and say, geez, I want to go in there and talk, and I'll send you an invite and you come in, and now we've got that eye-to-eye contact. That's what David talks about, how important it is. And Mark wanted to hide his eyes with sunglasses.
I wanted to accent the point of the chapter is what I wanted to do. But yeah, you know how many times I've gotten upset at somebody that'll be in a meeting with me and they'll have sunglasses on. I'll ask them specifically, do me a favor, take off your glasses. Yeah.
I had this guy that I did business with 4 years ago, and we did a lot of Hangouts. Actually, we were doing Skype because we started doing it before Hangouts really came into existence. And every time I'd ask him a question, he'd look off into space. Guess what message that sent to me?
That he wasn't interested in what you had to ask.
No. He was going to tell me something that wasn't true.
Mm. The old look the other way and the lying routine. there's actually subjects about that whole thing of your eye contact and how the FBI and everybody uses it to actually be able to do almost like a human lie detector.
Sure it is. So bring back that first page again. I want to read the first paragraph.
Go ahead and pull it up here. The heck is it? Now I've lost it. Give me a second, David. Oh, I know why. Okay. Here we go. And one more time. There it is. And we should be good to go.
Okay. The name of the chapter is The Empathy Curve and Your Online Identity. The greatest challenge on the web in the 21st century is to connect with your target audience in a way that enriches both them and you. For that to happen, beyond the glitz and the gloss of professional styling, you have to connect at a level that is personal enough to dispel misunderstanding, overcome perception barriers, and create the kind of trust that produces long-term business relationships. Okay, in this opening paragraph, David says exactly what I just said, that I could read what David has to say in his book, but if we talk about it in an HOA, then we can totally understand, what he meant, or you could add your perspective to it, and you could say, oh yeah, well, what about this? Or I agree with that, but what about this additional statement?
That was what he was talking about yesterday when he mentioned it. It was really clairvoyant of him, because I was just thinking about it, because I knew we were going to do the show, and here we are watching the thought leaders of this subject have a hangout on air and talking about this. And then I was thinking to myself, how can we rehash this and have any validity when these guys are doing it and then some? They're the authors of this. And David came across and he said in the hangout on air, with paraphrasing here, in regards to it, rehashing is not a bad thing because of the perspectives we bring into this topic. The perspectives being from different individuals and different personalities that convey something that allow other people to learn and grow from it. It was an excellent timing on his part, and I really appreciated that.
And one of the beauties when you buy this book online, as Mark has done, you'll see throughout there are links. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's the new age we live in, David. This new age of online.
We live in. Exactly. I started my career, Mark, as a publisher 40 years ago, and I have indeed published my own book myself, and it's just fascinating because some of the discussions, and I'm going to throw this out right now, some of the discussions that we are having in our community, in our Dreaming with Entrepreneurs and Google Plus community, I am going to collate those, bring them together, edit some, and we are going to create in this community an ebook.
Oh, that's a cool thing to do. All right.
We're going to do it as a community, and using my book, How Do You Answer These 749 Questions About Your Small Business. If you've got an answer that you would like to contribute to the book, we'll have an HOA, and we'll talk about it. Then we will put that into our ebook. How cool is that going to be?
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Okay, bring that page back up again, because the next paragraph I wanted to read talks about caring.
Caring, he says.
We have to get people to care about us. We have to get people to trust us. We have to get people to like us. We have to get people to have confidence in us. That's what business is all about, is sending that message out, marketing that message. And as David has done in his book, I haven't seen a better way to do it in my 40 years than Hangouts on Air. Okay, how do you show you care? David makes a real good point in these, and I'm not going to read these next couple paragraphs. His point is that in the old days, and the old days didn't end all that long ago. In the older days, we would see ads. We would see billboards. We would see newspaper ads. We'd see an ad on television. But all that stuff was carefully crafted. It was carefully scripted. And if the marketer did not like what they had produced, they would do it over again. So
Right.
it was a piece of finely tuned work of art. David's point is that it's much more impactful today when we can do it and present our marketing in an HOA to tell us what we're all about, because we're real. There is no, we can fake it for a while maybe, but we have to be real.
Yeah, it's very
in everything
true.
we do, and there's nothing more real than what we are doing right now. So that's how you get people to care about you. And I'll have to say, I've done, as I said, about 200 HOAs. I've done another 550, almost 600 YouTubes before I started doing HOAs, and I just took a look the other day. I've had over 21,000 views, which is, it's not important. I mean, so I almost say, so what? More important than that is, I've created this library, and every day, 25 to 30 people go to that library. They pull one of the videos off the shelf, and they view that video. So we're touching people every single day, and that's what our community is all about. And we do it through HOAs. As I said, I have never found a better way to communicate what it is. We talk about it. We say, okay, here's what it is. And if you've got a question, you can come on inside the HOA, and we can have interaction to give you an answer to that question.
Speaking of which, let me go ahead and read some of these questions or something that's coming at us from the stream. And I didn't prepare for this, and I should have, was just pulling these comments in, and I apologize for that. We should have done that.
No, big deal, man.
You usually don't use it, but I like to use these bells and whistles. They bring so much more context into the conversation. Vivek's out there, and he makes a couple comments. Let me see here.
Well, I'm looking at one of these. He just said, well, he didn't just say it. Small businesses need sales rather than marketing. Well, Vivek, I want to address that, because you've hit one of my hot buttons in terms of small business discussion. Marketing and sales have to work as an integrated process, an integrated system. Most small businesses do not integrate the two systems. They have a marketing department, and they have a sales department, and the marketing department has a budget, and the sales department has a budget. Sales is results oriented. Marketing tells a story. Marketing is about telling a story. What better way to tell a story than an HOA? There is no better way.
I think what Vivek was trying to point out in this regard was basically that sales are important, because you got to have cash flow. It's about cash flow.
No, I'm not trying to take away from sales. Yes, sales are your lifeblood, but you can't have sales until you have a finely crafted marketing message. One of my biggest clients of all times was a fast food chain. They had 750 stores, and I took them into direct mail back in the 80s, and they were using every kind of traditional means of advertising. There wasn't things worked a bit here, but they were so large, there were no efficiency. They couldn't grasp the efficiencies of their marketing spends. So when I took them into direct mail, and that was my objective with them, it was a whole new world for them. They started seeing double-digit increases in their business. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story, they were the first company that I had ever seen in my life. When I walked into their corporate offices, the door said marketing and sales. I have never, ever seen that. And my main contact was the VP of marketing and sales. He had marketing people to report it to him. He had sales people, and I had to get all those folks coordinated.
Right. Do me a favor real quick. Click on your window again so you can unpin yourself, so we can have a conversation that flips back and forth. I'd appreciate it. I feel like it works when you flip it. Yeah, you go. I think you now have it. Am I up on screen for you?
You're up on screen for me, and I'm up on screen for you now.
Yes, but what happens on the outside of the room?
I took the box away. You're right.
There you go. All right. Go ahead.
I get carried away, Mark, and I forget to do that. I've done that.
The technology gets to every one of us. This is what Ronnie's trying to teach us: is how to make it more so it doesn't even function.
Yeah, that's part of a hangout. That's a real world we live in. So what? So what?
We got it. All right. This is true.
We are real people. Want to pull David's book back up again and go to
Sure, let's go ahead and see if I can do that.
Second or third page of that chapter. There's something I wanted to share.
All right, let me get to it. And you want to go to which page now? If you give it to me.
It's the second. I have to scroll because the copy that I have looks different than the one you have, so I'm not quite sure where that's going to fall.
Okay, we are on. Give me the first sentence of the book. I've got second one up with parent line on it.
Well, you go to page about 114 or 115.
I've got different on my page, so you have to just give me the first sentence. Just give me the first sentence.
I don't have it. I have to look it up because I have it on another computer.
I've got Hangouts on air. The other hand take place in real time. Is that what you wanted?
No, we're still in chapter 7.
Tell you what we're going to do is I'm going to do the screen share and I'll flip through pages and you tell me.
I got it. I guess I could do the screen share too.
Yeah, why not?
I got a different looking copy than that, but it doesn't matter. Let me try to do a screen share.
There you go. Yeah, I was really impressed when I started reading the book was because I saw your post first about David's book and I hadn't heard about it, and so I went and found it and knew I was going to be interested in it. And all of a sudden that their hangout came up yesterday on the same subject, and I was going, what better timing? You couldn't beat it. Very cool. Yeah, there we go. You got it.
The concept of eye contact. Look at these ads. Look how the eyes tell the story.
And it's very true too. They've got it total right on point on their part because it is about that eye contact. It brings trust. Right away you trust that a lot more.
I love this paragraph. Hangouts on air provide an unparalleled opportunity to establish a channel that helps initiate all 3 stages of a relationship marketing. We better talk about those 3 stages, which are establishment, maintenance, and reinforcement. That comes from Patrick E. Murphy. He wrote a paper at the University of Notre Dame in Indiana.
And say again the 3 points.
They are establishment, maintenance, and reinforcement. You can just think of it as a circle. You start with establishment, and you go around, and you have to maintain what it is that you have done, and then you just reinforce
the same message and stayed consistent with it. Say again your book that you're telling me about.
It's an ethical basis for relationship marketing. It was a paper. A virtue ethics perspective.
You'll have to put that in the stream on the Hangout events calendar so we can get to it on a future date, if you'd be so kind.
I will do that. Well, now better than that, they need to buy the book.
Well, I'm gonna go buy the book. I just want to know. I want to have the link or some kind of reference that I can go look it up.
No, well, this was a quote that David used. He quoted Patrick E. Murphy. David quoted him. Okay, Hangouts on Air provide an unparalleled opportunity to establish a channel that helps initiate all 3 stages of relationship marketing. The reason it can become so effective lies in the disambiguation. Wow, disambiguation. It's the first time I've ever seen that word. I mean, I know what ambiguous is.
David's got a huge vocabulary, my friend.
Wow.
He's a very smart man.
Rocks with his vocabulary.
He definitely does.
He's got his vocabulary. Oh my goodness. David Amerland is the modern day philosopher.
He's great. His Sunday read is one of my most enjoyable things. And now you've got Alex in on that thread, and she's so good with her communication. She understands the same thing he does, and she just bounces off him so well.
Alex did a wonderful job. 2 weeks ago, Alex did a wonderful interview with David. It was just spot on. Alex, you did a great job.
They are knocking it out of the park with their whole team with the build the technology. And I was talking about getting off subject a little bit. The wild frontier, as I like to say it. I've been on the internet before there was an internet. I think I've told a lot of my good friends that know me, and I've been with it for so long that it's
How could you
always
be
that
on the internet
edge.
before it was an internet?
Well, the internet really didn't take off in my book until the '85 or so when it went HTML. And I was actually in the rooms when they were talking about it. We were discussing how to get this to happen. And these folks are the ones that were coders and everything. And before you knew it, boom, they took off and it was done. And there was no turning back at that point. But before then, there was a lot of BBSing, a lot of textual type of conversations, user groups. I mean, we were all over the place. And I've been on for that many years. And so it's been a neat ride.
Okay, here's a key couple sentences here. Suddenly, it is not just what you say, I'm quoting David now, but how you say it and to whom that makes all the difference. This takes marketing. An activity in the past was associated with mass media and mass communication and one-size-fits-all approaches and makes it personal, personable, and human. So today's world, and David is really big on when he talks about the brands and how brands should use an HOA. He does that in other chapters of the book. I'm quite fascinated, Mark, that more folks have not embraced the power of HOAs than they have done. I mean,
hit your arrow again, David. So you bring yourself back in.
I'm sorry, what?
Hit your arrow again. Bring yourself back in.
Oh.
On screen share. This takes practice. You got to be able to flow back and forth. It's tough at first.
I am. I got a blue box. No, I'm not going to do it. It doesn't matter. No, because I'm going to have to pull it back up again. Oh, that's you.
Nope, I'm in live screen now at this time. You are the one that's pinned. Now you unpin me, so now I can actually be in the room. Okay. I don't know if you're.
Well,
all you gotta do is hit your arrow again. It should bring you back in, but sometimes it glitches, David, and it may hang on you. So there's a problem. If it is, you're a talking box, and you just have to keep the room going and have your voice be the deciding factor.
Testing
and
1, 2, 3.
There you are. You're back.
Testing
you're back.
1, 2, 3. Testing. Oh, I'm back. Look at my eyes.
There you go. We got the whites of his eyes.
The whites of his eyes. Now I forgot what I was saying. What was my stream of thought?
Your stream of thought was talking about David Amerland at the time, but I forgot what it was myself. I was trying to help you out, get back on screen.
We were talking about why more folks had not embraced using HOAs. Two things I need to say about this. Number one, for the small business owner that does not use an HOA to market their business, they are really losing out. An HOA, the technology, the Google small business technology, as I like to call it, has created an even playing field for small businesses. Small businesses can embrace the power of an HOA probably more quickly than a larger business or the larger brands. David, even yesterday, you remember that part of the discussion yesterday, Mark, when David said that somebody asked the question about brands and how do brands present themselves, and his point is that most brands cannot carry a consistent message as such, and that's maybe why they are fearful, because one brand manager might say this, another brand manager might say that, and you have to have that consistency. But once again, the beauty of an HOA is that things are real time. Things are happening right now. There might have been something that happened in the last 5 minutes that you can share with the rest of the world, and that doesn't happen in all the traditional forms of media. So well, you've learned this too. I mean, you're starting to build a business. You've been doing HOAs. It's going to be very simple for you to integrate those two processes and systems
I think
into.
it's habit and behavior though. There's an entrenched dogma of behaviors and habits that happen. The larger the company is, the more so that's the case. I find anyway that they don't know how to break out of that normal way of doing things, and so that it's very slow for change. Getting into my music stuff, the record industry was the reason that they had such a hard time, and they haven't been able to handle the changes that have happened so fast for them, is that they're so not used to changing. And today's day and age, things change so dang fast. It's just almost instant that we're having to change and stay on top of things. They talked about that yesterday's morning hangout meeting with Ronnie and David as well, is how fast things change, and people's inability or not being able to accept the fact that things change fast, and that's just the way that our world is become, and it's going to get even more so all the time. You know.
There's a couple things I want to make sure that, and we're not doing justice. We'll come back and we'll talk about these things in the future. I'm not doing David's thoughts justice. We're jumping around a lot, but I wanted to hit the key points. And he has another subsection called empathy, marketing, and authenticity. We hear authenticity a lot being spoken. How authentic one must be to create that trust, to create that credibility, to create that confidence that people will have in you and your business. That's authenticity. Obviously, we've talked about marketing. One of the terms that David brings into the discussion, and we don't hear it too much, and I don't ever remember reading it in any of the marketing books that I read, growing up, whatever, about empathy. And that's how beautiful HOAs are, because you can share those feelings of empathy so very, very well. And maybe the reason we didn't talk about it was that you couldn't. It was more difficult to show empathy and caring. So he talks about. He quotes. It's always interesting when I read something that David has written. It's very, very interesting for me to see the expert and their quotations that he goes to build a point that he's trying to make. That is always fascinating. What kind of folks does he go to? Because David is could he be the most quoted person in all of Google world?
Yeah, he's up there. That's for sure.
So it's always fascinating to me the folks that he goes to quote. But he's quoting Veronica Reed in a 372-page study conducted for the University of Nottingham in the United Kingdom. And she calls 5 precepts that govern the behavior of customers. This is where I'm not going to do justice. We need to come back. But we need to understand what those precepts are. And you hear me say this a lot. When we ask somebody to do business with us, we're asking that individual to change some type of behavior that they have.
Pull yourself back in, dude.
Well, then let me read them, and then I'll pull myself back in.
Okay, there you go.
Let me give the precepts. Tangibles, physical facilities and equipment, appearance and personnel, reliability, responsiveness, the willingness to help customers, assurance, the knowledge and courtesy of employees and their ability to convey trust and confidence, empathy, the degree of caring. And those are the things that we can do so very well in a hangout. Is share those, and when we have a product sitting on a shelf, we don't have that opportunity to do this, but we certainly can do it very, very well in a hangout on air, real time. I want to go to this next list that he has. Empathy is central to maintaining a relationship, creating authenticity, and driving loyalty. Loyalty, and that's what brand value is all about, is that loyalty. Do we have a lot of brand loyalty today, Mark?
I'm hoping they're out there watching. But
No. Brand loyalty. I seem to quite often make buying decisions based on price and not necessarily loyalty to a product. However, if I saw one of my brands do an HOA and really, give me the heart and soul of that product, I probably would be more loyal to that brand.
I don't know how much of that is true. Is your buying behavior, your purchase behavior is got to be dictated by a brand loyalty that you may not be even aware of. But yes, it'd be all the more powerful.
No, I mean, we have certain products we've been familiar with over the years. But if I've got a coupon that somebody says I can get $1 off for another brand, do I use that coupon to get $1 off?
True. Yeah. What do you, or you keep that brand loyalty and buy the thing that's a little more expensive? Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I'm not saying brand loyalty doesn't exist. Of course it does. That's why the brands still exist. But I think in today's world, particularly with the internet and so much information that's available to us,
very true.
We make buying decisions. We go into a shopping aisle. We look at a product. We make a buying decisions based upon information we can get about that product online.
Very true.
How interesting is that? Okay. The question here is, how do you establish this in a Hangout on Air where you have your own set of goals to meet and a fluid situation with a live audience? The formula is as old as the hills, even if the medium where it is applied is futuristic. The concepts, these are things that we have always dealt with. Listen, take careful note of what is being said and seek to understand your customer's point of view. We're not, all too often, we're not very good listeners, but an HOA really gives us that opportunity to become better listeners. Identify. After you have all the facts and identify the problems, break down the issues involved. Agree. Your interlocutors cannot know that you have understood a problem and seen their point of view, and you cannot know whether they have understood that you grasp the issues. Respond. This is the clincher. How you respond here will make all the other steps you took either meaningless or supremely meaningful.
Very true. All right, now before we give them the whole book, let's go ahead and talk about this and pull out of the book. They've got to go buy it, David. They've got to go buy it.
No, we're only giving chapter 7. We're only doing about 5 pages.
You're giving the best parts of chapter 7 too. That's a great book. If you folks
here's a great. They need to go buy the book because I'm going to go real quickly by it. Trust versus empathy. High level of trust, low level of trust, low level of empathy, high level of empathy. What happens? David tells you exactly what happens in those 4 boxes. Creating your identity, courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit. Would I read it in this chapter or one of his other ones? If somebody gets out of control during an HOA, what that may or may not do to the...
How to handle the rowdy crowd, huh?
Yes. Okay, what you learned in this chapter...
Oh, there we go. Yeah, he's done a great job with this book.
This is why he summarizes everything. He does this after every chapter. It is great how he's done this because there's a lot of information and a lot of good case studies, but he summarizes everything. And this is actually the final chapter of the whole book. Hangouts on Air are your sunglasses moment. Is that what you were wearing your sunglasses for?
That was my sunglass moment. That was it.
You rock. You rock, man. Empathy is key. If you cannot empathize with the people you hope to do business with, understanding their concerns and points of view, it's unlikely you'll ever do business with them. Authenticity is a must. No better place to develop that authenticity than in an HOA. Identity is a construct. It is created by the way we behave, the connections we make, the content or message we broadcast. Mark, I posted something today about content.
Go ahead and pull yourself into the screen, David. I've just got to see the whites of your eyes. I don't feel comfortable.
Okay, you don't trust me.
I trust you, sir, but I want to see the whites of your eyes. That's a great book. For those of you that haven't got this book, you need to go read it. If you're interested in the subject at all of maximizing and accenting your Hangouts on Air, or getting into the area of Hangouts on Air to produce your company and promote your company, you're missing out. I've got a couple friends, David, that I've been trying to get them into this. And there was another one, I think it was in the book that I read it this morning, talking about the struggle it is to try to get people into this platform and to get them into using Hangouts on Air. And I've been finding that a lot. You know, it's tough, but I think they're really going to start coming when you get books like David's and those thought leaders that are leading that subject. So it's pretty cool.
I read a fact today, and it's some research, and I've always said market research can tell you anything you want it to tell you, depending upon how you
crunch the numbers. Yeah.
Well, I've got a member of our community, my friend John Fox, and he's a great.
Unpin yourself. Click your box again.
Pardon me?
Unpin yourself. Click your box again.
I did. I'm not pinned.
Oh, okay. See, it's hard for us when we're inside the room to know how it's revolving outside. So
I'm not pinned.
Cool.
Gosh, once again.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Market research. I read and I think it's a good. It builds an argument of why individuals might want to do HOAs and why they target certain demographics of the marketplace. And they were talking about millennials, and this particular study said that 45% of millennials do not believe content is important. Can you believe that?
That's amazing, because everything to me is all about content, especially with what Google's given us in the last couple of years. They've really shown me by being on the platform how important content is and where it's going in today's market. So
those millennials will screw up everything, won't they?
I'm sitting here reading the page. We've got a lot of comments coming in. Have you seen some of them?
Actually, I've been floating around. You won't let me get to the page.
Oh, well, it's all my fault, David. I'm sorry. Like Ferran's Parsi, I think that's how Parse. I think one point, if possible, you should address the social skills in relationship to the subject in business. Maybe in the future. Thank you so much.
Yes, we will. By the way, let me take a quick look at the screen there. We will. Mark Farashi used to be on the bulletin boards and so on. Great. I was on them as well.
Yep. Who was that made that comment? There was many people that were.
Okay, we will deal with all the issues, all the questions and concerns in the event stream. And as I said, if there's something that I am not comfortable giving an answer with, I will get an answer from David Amerland. So I better go back to the right screen, huh? There we are, back to the right one. Okay. Thank you, Mark, for taking time to come in and have a discussion. You are always, because of the real active position you take in the community and all your comments, you will get a right of first refusal of having a seat on the inside of the panel anytime you want it. And when you are, and I'm being real serious now, anytime that you are ready to talk about your new business venture, other than you doing a launch as an HOA, which you kind of are working up towards that, I would love to have you come in and talk about it to our community, because that's what we're all about, and we're about small business collaboration. How can we help one another?
I think I'll be a lot more welcome to do that on the backside. In other words, as I start to do this, I'm always the type that I bounce my ideas off that universal wall, as a way of learning myself is what we're doing. But at the same time, I bring along people with me. We had our lawyer in the room the other night that came in, and that was all about me getting to know the gentleman and building up my relationship with him, and then allowing him to give his authority and his voice and with his expertise. And so I'm learning and growing all the time when I do that. That's why I do it.
Was that the first time Gordon had done an HOA?
No, he's very knowledgeable. That gentleman's been doing a lot of things that you may not be aware of.
No, I'm talking about an HOA. Was that the first HOA he had done?
No, I think he's done an HOA or two. I mean, every time I've kind of pressed him trying to take the tact of educating him, teaching him, right away he comes back and makes me realize that he's been there and done that. So I think he's been out there. We just not aware of it.
I had some lawyer friends, I'm not going to mention their name, and they used to do an HOA every Monday afternoon. And it was targeted initially to other lawyers. That was the concept. And they found that they were... a lot of consumers were getting very, very interested in the topics, so it became a platform for an HOA for consumers as well as attorneys. But
right.
They haven't done an HOA, now that I think about it, for months. I wonder what's going on there. Okay. Thank you very much for your time today, Mark. I want to thank David Amerland, as always, for his very in-depth, knowledgeable, thought-provoking, right-on comments based upon other experts in the field, based upon his knowledge and his understanding. He has an understanding of human behavior that is unique, very unique. You mentioned his Sunday read. It happens. You see that all. I mean, his Sunday reads. I've never asked him how long it takes him to actually write one of his Sunday reads.
He's an amazing man, that's for sure. He's very knowledgeable.
And I have also posted in the event stream more of the human side of David. In a HOA that we did back in November during Global Entrepreneurship Week. That's in the event stream. I also posted in the event stream his initial announcement of this book, Google Plus Hangouts for Business. And so I urge you to go and listen to those. He's a wonderful human being with great, great thoughts, and always, always very thought-provoking. And he has used the tool, the HOA tool, as well as anybody has. And so there's probably no better person to write the book to put all those thoughts together than David Amerland, and we thank you. My name is SmallBizDavid. You know how to get in touch with me. Mark, do you want to send folks to your website?
No, they can find me on Google Plus, the Music Pulse, where a lot of my posting comes from my personal profile, and a lot of the folks out there know that I'm kind of trying to slide that over to the brand page and do a lot more posting over there. We appreciate it, David. Thank you.
And one of the things that, well, Mark alluded to it real briefly earlier in this discussion, if you have any kind of question about your dog's behavior, he is an expert on dog behavior. So if you're having a problem or a challenge of any kind, make sure you ask him, because he will set you down the right path on that one, won't you, Mark?
In a general sense, I think of our lives as going through multiple facets over the years. They say that you change your character and who you are in life several times in life, and that was a part of my past, as being a dog trainer by trade, and I grew up starting to train dogs when I was about 12 years of age. And so it's something that's very dear to my heart. At the same time, I don't want to try to live it anymore online, or that's not the market that I'm going after, is what I should say. But that doesn't mean if somebody doesn't come to me in a personal way and ask me a question, then I'm not going to try to help them.
No, you're going to. Your passion is not. I mean, your passion, right? The passion that you're sharing right now is music, but you also spent, as you said, a good many years of your life in the dog world. So. You can't forget the dogs. I've actually trained my cat to behave very much like a dog. It's been a pretty interesting experience.
They can be trained. They're a little bit strong-willed in their own way, though. But
Bit.
yeah, I used to get into when I started when they're kittens. They always like to chase things, and you're throwing the little toys to them and stuff. You can actually get them retrieving. It was a great thing. I'd get cats retrieving all the time, but they lose the behaviors a little bit with age and that kind of thing.
My cat was outside, and she heard me talking about her, and she just came in and she opened the door. She just came in the house.
Do a Billy Wilson. Show us the cat. Billy's got that big old tabby of his. He's a huge cat.
This is Kitty Cat.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that cutie.
I rescued this kitty about 5 years ago.
Very cool.
She is a great kitty cat. Okay, well, thank you, folks, for taking time out of your schedules. If you have any questions, please leave them in the event stream, and we will look at it and take care of those. Watch for an announcement this week. I'm thinking. I told you we would do the community meeting on Friday. I'm now thinking it'll probably be Saturday, but a lot of that is going to be dependent upon what happens to me in the next couple of days with some issues I've got to take care of. So we will see you the next time, which may very well be the best time.
See you guys.